appreciate the Lord tonight. Appreciate all He's done for us. Covered your prayers tonight. I got my nauseous to my stomach since I've been here. The Lord knows all about that. Amen. But turn your Bibles to the book of Psalm, chapter 61. Start reading verse 1, first 4 verses. It says, "Hear my cry, O God, attend unto my prayer. From the end of the earth will I cry unto thee. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. For thou hast been a shelter for me and a strong tower from mine enemies. I will abide in thy tabernacle forever. I will trust in thy covert of thy wings, Salah." Thank you for standing for reading. And I probably won't be very long tonight, but got this thought on my heart, and I thought that's a little bit. Haven't preached a whole lot, and sometimes when you get out of the routine of preaching, it makes it a little more difficult. But I do appreciate the Lord. But I thought I read this and I thought very familiar scripture or songs that we can sing. Even some of the one in the old red hymnal about "Lead me to the rock that is higher than I." Just taking these verses out of the psalm and putting a chorus to it and singing it and I thought because it's important to us that we realize there's somewhere that we can go.
Right.
And I thought David here is as he's writing this psalm, it was in a time of David's life whenever no doubt he thought that he couldn't get no worse. It was during the rebellion of his son Absalom, and it was a time of danger for David. It was a time of despair and a time of dependence on God.
Right.
And I thought Absalom was David's, if you would, he was his favorite son. But now he has become one of David's most fierce enemies. So as David is looking at all the circumstances surrounding him, the only thing he can do is cry out, and he says, "Hear my cry, O God, attend unto my prayer."
Right.
And then he says, he goes on and he says, "When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I."
Right.
I thought sometimes we sing the song, Sister Pauline is them singing about "Lift me up and let me stand on heaven's tableland," talking about lifting us up a little higher. And I thought we need to realize there's a place that we can go to that is above anything that this world has to offer for us. I know, a lot of times there's just the circumstances that many times we deal with. We wonder about. And I thought, but David realized that there was that place. I thought he said, "When my heart is overwhelmed," and I thought I began to think about that. How many times have you seemed like you've just been overwhelmed? Circumstances that just out of your control, and they just overwhelmed you. I thought we've heard the testimonies around here of several. Sister Marcia testified this morning about circumstances that just seem to overwhelm us. And I thought I was already thinking about this scripture in this text whenever she was testifying this morning. Sometimes things just override us. They get beyond anything that we can do. And I thought about that word "overwhelmed" there.
Come on.
And I looked it up in the Strong's Concordance. And it means it denotes a burial shroud or to be clothed in darkness.
Come on.
Overwhelmed.
Uh-huh.
A burial shroud. something they put on you when you're dead. There is no more options, if you would. That's the end of the road. And also sometimes whenever the psalmist used this word, when I'm overwhelmed, when I feel like I can't go no further, I'm at my end. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. And I thought the situation was beyond his control. Like I said, that overwhelmed to bury, or I looked it up in the Webster's dictionary, and it said and it means to bury or to drown beneath a huge mass, or to defeat completely. And I thought, and sometimes we look and we've seen, Sister Marcia, that we're overwhelmed. But as I read that, I thought we've never been completely defeated. Right. I thought because we have someone that we can go to that can lead us up and beyond our circumstances. And I thought, like I said, I know that there's sometimes when I feel completely covered, when I feel completely buried in circumstances. Yeah. And I thought, sometimes I look at some circumstances surrounding us, and circumstances surrounding our children when we've raised them, and we've taught them the best we can. I thought I was talking to the office manager there at work last week, and David was sitting there at his desk behind him, and he's got a son that David's of the Baptist faith, and but he's at one time he lived pretty close. I'm talking about the office manager, and but his name's David also. But anyway, he doesn't go to church like he used to, and different things, and doing things that really he knows he shouldn't be doing, but he still does them. But he's got a son now that's in his 20s, and he was talking to me the other day, and he said that he's leaning toward being an atheist, and wondering if there really is a creator. And he began to talk to me about those things. And he said, I've been trying to explain to him and show him in the Bible how that there is a creator, that there is a God, and all those things. And he's, he said, I don't know what to do. And I told him, I said, well, all I can tell you is when we know that we've done our best, when we know that we've raised them and we've given them the direction that then there's nothing we can do. But sometimes the circumstances can still overwhelm us. They can override us. But there's a thing that we got to realize. We are not at our end. Right. Even though the circumstances may make us feel like we are, we have someone, we may just seem like we're overwhelmed. Come on, God. And I thought, there's been some times that I just thought, surely I couldn't see over the place that I was in. I felt like I was just completely buried. But I thought, but he said, when my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock. You see, we have all faced those times. But in Psalms chapter 35 and 22, it says, this thou hast seen, O Lord. Keep not silence, O Lord. Be not far from me. And I thought whenever we have all those things going on around, we know that God is not far from us. Right. I thought He will never leave us. We was talking before church, and Brother Sparks and Brother Steve and I were up here, and we was talking about some preachers that preaching funerals and different things, and sometimes they can get a little lengthy in a funeral. But one preacher, that his name came up, and Brother Sparks said, I didn't realize that he had went to the Once in Grace, Always in Grace. And I thought, and it came to my mind of maybe some of the route that some of his children has taken. And so he's leaning to that, hoping for that assurance that even though his children have turned their lives around and doing things that's completely contrary against the Word of God, that there's that hope that they may make it. And I thought, even of all that, we know that God is not far from us. I thought the circumstances around us, I thought we still got to hold on to the faith that we know.
Right.
And I thought, and it's a dangerous thing, talking about the Calvinistic doctrine. And I thought, and it used to be more just one denomination. But as we look at the church world in general, I thought how many are leaning to that same belief, that same doctrine. It seems like they can do whatever they want to and still holding on to the faith. And I thought, but God will never walk away from us. Maybe that's where I was going when I got off on that. God will never leave us. God will never forsake us. And I thought He's promised He would. But if we walk away from Him, then we've got to go back and find that grace. And we've got to go back under Him and come to Him and humble ourselves back before God and come under the precious blood, just like we've never been saved before.
That's right.
And I thought, when we do this, then we can, He says, "O Lord, keep not silent, and O Lord, be not far from me." And I thought we're dependent on God. And I thought, no doubt, David felt defeated by his circumstances. And no doubt, David felt discouraged by the things that was going on. No doubt, as David looked around and he seen all the circumstances, and he remembered back when the prophet came to him and said, "David, thou art the man." And then he began to tell him the things that he was going to have to face. And no doubt, as David looked at all these circumstances and he realized his failures and how he had fallen away from God, and yet he looked at him and he said, "But lead me to the rock that is higher than I."
Yes.
And I thought, no doubt David felt distance from the sovereignty of God. Have you ever been that way?
Come on.
I thought there's been times, Sister Marcia, that I have felt distance
Come on, son.
from God. I thought Colin was getting ready to leave yesterday, and he's going to Paducah this week to be with his Nana and Pops, and he loves being with them, but he don't like that ride. And it's almost 5 hours down there. He was dreading it. And he came to me and he grabbed onto me. He was at the house and he was hugging on to me and "Papa, I don't want to leave. I don't want to leave." He was, and he really wouldn't have the separation issues that he was causing me to have. Him not wanting to leave, and I'd really rather he'd stay here too. But I began to think about that, and he realized the distance there.
Yeah.
He's going to be a long way from home. And even though he loves the Nana and Pops, he's going to be a long way from Mama and Pawpaw. And he realized that. And I thought there's been times when I felt that way with God.
Yeah.
I felt like that I was a long way away. I got down to pray, Brother Steve, and I pray, and it seems like I'm not getting nowhere. It seems like my prayers are not being heard. I know they're being heard, but it's because of the distance that I've allowed to come between me and God. Not that it was my choice to do that, but just circumstances overwhelm us. And we get to where we can't reach God.
Right.
And I thought that's where David was at. And I thought David desired the attention of God. And he said, "Hear my cry, O God. Attend unto my prayer." And he's desiring God's attention. He's desiring the assistance of God whenever he's crying out to Him. And then, and I thought, and he cried out with a fervency, "Hear my cry, oh God."
Yes.
I thought, have you ever been stuck and you can't go nowhere? Did you just give up and sit there? I thought, I've been stuck before, Brother Steve. And Brother Steve got stuck back in the winter, and none of his fault. But he called me. I came and I hooked the chain to him and I pulled him out. He didn't sit there. Even though he would rather what I was driving not pull him out, but he wasn't going to sit there.
Right.
He realized that if he got on that phone and he called me, that I would be there. I would come I would come and assist him.
Right.
Oh, a few years ago, I hadn't lived where I'm at very long. The guy lives up the road from me, and he's got all kinds I don't know how many vehicles he's got. And but he's got probably 10 or 15 back there behind that fenced-in area. And I was there in the yard one day, and I heard him up there. Man, he was revving up that engine. He was a spinning. He was rocking it back and forwards. So me, I didn't know the guy, but I thought I'd be a good neighbor. I grabbed a chain, I threw it in the truck, I pulled up, I backed in his driveway, and I got out, and he was driving a red, 99, 2000 Ford Lightning truck, and two-wheel drive, real low on the ground. He backed in a mud hole in his driveway, and I said, buddy, you want me to pull you out? He got out, and he said, not with that. He said, I was driving a Chevrolet, he was driving a Ford. He's a Ford guy, and I said, excuse me? He said, I'm not letting no Ford pull me out. I wasn't there for bragging rights, Brother Dan. I was there to be a neighbor. I was there to help him. But you see, he would rather sit in the mud. And that's what he told me. He said, I'll let it sit there in the spring, and then dry up, and then I can pull out of there. And he did. He had plenty of dry. He let it sit there. And I thought, that's comical, but that's the truth. It really happened. But I thought, how many times have we done that spiritually? Right. Somebody come by and say, I want to help you. I want to be an uplift to you.
Yes, sir.
But yet we're so stuck at where we're at that we refuse any help that anybody's got to offer.
Right.
And I thought, we don't even cry out to God like David did. And said, he said, hear my cry, O God. Attend unto my prayer.
Right.
David realized that he was not going to stay there forever. He said, lead me to the rock that is higher than I.
Yeah.
I thought that word lead there is the primitive root to that means to guide by implication. But then it went on and said to transport. And I thought about that. He said, lead me to the rock that's higher than I. And when I thought of that word, I thought to guide by him. But then I went on and it said to transport. Just pick me up, Lord, and set me up there on that rock that's higher than I.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought there's times, Brother Harold, that I'm not even able to get to where I need to be. But I thought if we can get the faith in God that we need, I thought He can pick us up and set us back to where that we need to be with Him. But so many times we're just stuck. Just like the guy on the road, he just chose to sit there. And I thought, I'd be glad to help. But he chose to opt out. And I thought, how many of us are opting out on the blessings of God tonight? When He's got them there to offer, and all we've got to do is say, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. David said, Lord, transport me to that rock that's higher than I. Put me there, Lord. I thought it's not a sin to be overwhelmed. It happens to us all. And I thought, we can become overwhelmed. But the sin is when we choose to sit there in our bewilderness. And I thought, we don't have to stay buried in our circumstances. We cry out like David, lead me to the rock. Where is that rock? Psalms chapter 62 verse 5. It says, my soul, wait thou only upon God, for my expectation is from Him. He only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense. I shall not be moved. In God is my salvation and my glory. The rock of my strength and my refuge is in God. I thought, Jesus Christ is that rock tonight. And I thought, we don't have to be overwhelmed with our circumstances. If we just cry out, Lord, lead me to that rock. I thought He can transport us immediately and get us above our circumstances. I thought there's been times that, like I said, that I've prayed and I've talked to the Lord, but I kept my circumstances back here in the back of my mind. Lord, this is what's going on. This is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm going through.
Right.
And the whole time, Sister Marcia, I said, Lord, help me. I'm still thinking on my circumstances.
Right.
But when David said, Lord, lead me to that rock that is higher than I, he said, Lord, take me out of it.
Yes.
Get me out of all these things that's overwhelming me. And set me on a place where that I can worship you and you only. As they get the song tonight, I thought maybe somebody else has got something to add to this. I don't know. But
No, I know what.
it's the thought I've had on my heart this week. Lead me to that rock that is higher than I. I thought we go through a lot of things here in this life. But I thought there's nothing we can't get through if we trust in God. You know, sometimes at work, on third shift, we've been having a hard time keeping help. And we've got one guy that's been there 20-something years, probably 23, 24 at least. And he's just a little younger than I am. He's in his early 40s. And, but having a hard time keeping him help. And right now, he's the only guy I've got. I had some other guys lay over to help him a little bit. But he called me Wednesday morning. Got bad news. My dad just passed away. And I'm not going to be able to come back into work tonight. We had load trucks. And I said, don't worry about it. You know, he was concerned about his job. And you know, he said, I know you ain't got no help, but I've got to be here with my mom. I said, son, don't worry about it. You know, so we'll make sure things your job's taken care of. And I thought, you know, there were circumstances that were just simply out of his control.
That's right.
You know, you just have to know the guy. He's just a good natured guy and needs to be saved. But you know, and I said, you know, there's sometimes things just happen that we can't take care of. But somebody else can handle it. And, you know, I went in, and another guy who took care of the things Wednesday afternoon late. But I thought, you know, sometimes we look at those things and we think, there's nobody else that can do this. I thought if we just let loose of it,
Yes.
we'd be amazed at what God can do for
That's right.
us.
That's right.
But we just want to hold on to it. We're looking at it, there's nobody else. I thought God is saying, let it go. Let it go. Whatever it is tonight, I don't know. I thought this, like I said, this is all I had. But lead me to the rock that is higher than I. As they get us a song tonight, let's come to this altar and let's pray. Whatever it is we're dealing with, I don't know everybody's circumstance. I know some. I mean, this home church, we know each other. I heard a preacher preach one time, ain't nowhere harder to preach sometimes in the home church. Everybody knows everybody. But I thought I do know enough to know that some of us need to just simply let go of some things and let God. And I thought He would lead us to that rock that is higher. Take us above those things that's overwhelming us. So they get us a song tonight. Let's pray.